What is up, guys? My name is Dave Colagiovanni. I am the owner to SUPRA Inspections. This is the SUPRA Show where we interview the most important people in real estate. I'm hanging out with my co-host, Doug Tricarico, and our guest today, fellow home inspector from Stone Home Inspections, Mr. Josh Stone. How are you doing today, man? Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. I'm doing great. I appreciate coming on with you.
Cool.
Definitely a unique experience being asked to do a show with a fellow home inspector. But it's been a unique experience from the moment I talked to you. So so I appreciate that. But yeah, everything is going great, man.
Cool, man. Awesome. So we got to get into, man, how what drew you to the home inspection industry? How'd you get started? And what are you up to now? And what are the goals for the future?
That's a lot. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
start with, how did you get into it? Sorry.
Well, I was NYPD for 20 years.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
So I was NYPD. I started that job in 2020. And prior to that, I was a loan officer. So I had two roads, basically. It was like I had a mortgage company calling me, and I had an NYPD. And I grew up very poor with, no secure income. So I said, you know what, let me take the safe route, which it seemed safer. Yeah. Being a cop seemed safer, believe it or not, than being a loan officer. Financially, yes, it was true. So so I became a police officer. And it was, it was a rough road. It was very difficult, low pay, not a lot of, people like you. Yeah. But, you have like two sides to it, right? People love you, people hate you. You try and fit somewhere in the middle, do your job. Bought some properties. So my first property, believe it or not, I closed on was the week of 9/11.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Man.
So I literally had my home inspection by I wasn't even there for it, like the day after 9/11. So 9/12.
You had to head into the city, you're saying?
I was in the city, yeah. After 9/11, I was. Wow. I mean, I was there day one, and then but literally closing that Friday. So it happened on a Tuesday. Friday, I'm closing on my first co-op.
Yeah.
So that was my first real estate transaction because I grew up, renting, and then we lived in Queens at the time, and someone stole my airbags, believe it or not, from my car. So I said, you know what, it's time to go and look for another place to live because Queens is just not like. Wow. I can't do it.
I understand stealing a radio, but airbags?
Airbags, yeah.
I thought Spider-Man was from Queens.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's me. Spidey.
You could,
Forest Hills, actually. Yeah, that's where we lived, and that's where they filmed it. The first Spider-Man, So we owned that for like 2 years and did some work to it. Essentially, I was like living in a flip because I fixed it up, flipped it, made money, and bought a townhouse. And then, had that home inspected by somebody. So kind of saw what they did, didn't really pay too much mind to it. Kind of got back into the mortgage business as well in the transition periods. And then we moved to Yorktown in 2012. And at that time, we had a home inspector who I think was just not very good. Yeah. They were there, they did their thing, had a roof they could easily get on. They didn't get on it. I get on the roof months after I buy the house. There's a hole in my roof.
No way.
How do you miss that, So I'm like, this is definitely not how it should go. I was spending tens of thousands of dollars on repairs.
Wow.
And thankfully, we had it to do the work, but it was tough. And then, believe it or not, one of my neighbors was picking up radon test kits for somebody. Yeah. And then another neighbor heard about that and said, hey, maybe I'll take the course. Next thing you know, he's teaching the course and meets me and says, hey, I'm an instructor. Why don't you take the test, take the class? So I took the class. Didn't really think I was going to do much with it. And then the business started coming in. Yeah. And I just been, just chugging along ever since. Now we have multiple inspectors and
no way.
We do a lot. We do mold assessments, as you know. And we do sewer scope inspections. So we're busy.
Thankfully. Yeah, that's why it's important to keep an open mind. You never know where your calling or your next opportunity is going to be around the corner.
You never know. And it's funny, thinking back, because I never really talked about my construction background because I was never a contractor. Yeah. But yet I worked on a lot of projects, right?
Wow,
Even in high school, I did a home improvement course where I essentially built a house. So I don't really talk about that, and people just assume, hey, you're a retired cop, you shouldn't be doing home inspections because you have no construction knowledge. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you know, I have essentially flipped properties
Yeah.
for money, and listen, I know how to swing a hammer. So
Yeah, without a doubt,
know.
man. I mean, what do you feel like? That's a really good point. I mean, like, as far as like, and we don't talk about this from a home inspection school perspective, but do you find that there really should be some prerequisites to getting into home inspection, like as far as like just having some sort of background? Because yeah, you were talking about, you know, the home inspector that inspected your home, and it just, you know, you just feel like that, you know,
Right.
if you don't got some particular background, like it may not be the best field.
I'd say yes and no. I really think it depends on your education and how far you take it.
Yeah.
I kind of think that when you're a contractor, or let's say a plumber or electrician, and that's your zone, like maybe that's all you know. Or if you're, some
Yeah.
people are like, no, I want an engineer. An architect can do a home inspection without being a home inspector.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're going to be a good home inspector? No.
No, yeah,
Right?
that's a really good
So-
point, man.
So, in my opinion, like if you're an electrician or a plumber, let's say, yes, I'm sure you could do a great inspection with those components, but you're still lacking in other areas. So,
Yeah.
knowledge is power. Just get the knowledge. You know, there's a school in Pennsylvania. They have a House of Horrors there. I went there.
Yeah, oh, you did?
Yeah,
No
it was-
way,
it
with the
was
InterNACHI
awesome.
stuff?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's
so you
cool.
can literally learn. You could touch the materials.
Yeah.
You know, like that. You need that. Like you need to know the difference between architectural shingles and 3-tab shingles.
Yeah.
You need to know the difference between a boiler and a furnace. I taught home inspection for years.
Wow,
At the
yeah.
New York Home Inspection School, and by the end of it, there were a lot of students that didn't even know that.
I
They
know.
still didn't
Wow.
know the difference between a boiler and a furnace.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just, but again,
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to be a contractor or have knowledge.
Yeah.
You have to learn it and be open to learning.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I've had inspections where the person was there kind of just for the money. They put on the whole song and dance show, and I'm sitting here pointing out things that they're missing, and it's definitely important to have not just a home inspection, but have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, we spoke about this question earlier. I got to bring it up, and Doug, I need you to chime in on this. You know, home inspections, you know, they can get really ugly quickly, or sometimes they end on a really bad note, right? And so in this market today, buyers are looking for, buyers looking to, basically, find a home for cheap that needs a lot of work. The home inspection comes in, and there's just a bunch of items on this list. You know, at what point, would you kind of look at the agent or the buyer saying, this home should really be taken over by a GC, a home flipper, because there's just a lot going on, and the average home buyer can't fix all that stuff. Where do you draw the line, as far as home defects?
I draw the line essentially when I see their face and when I'm pointing things out, because like there's times when I'll literally be driving. I had one last year where I was driving up to the house, and I noticed that there was a giant retaining wall at the front of the property bordering the street, complete failure, covered with vegetation. And really, if you're driving past it, you're probably going to miss it.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing about what we do and why it's so important is we're not just looking at the house. We're looking at the site as well. So there's a lot going on the site that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
A retaining wall, like I saw, you're looking at like a $50,000 repair, and that's something that you cannot get a return on investment from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? So
exactly.
you're putting 50 grand into this wall, which anyone who's buying it next is going to assume that the wall is fine. So you're not going to get a dime back in return, and you have to do this repair.
Yeah.
So when it comes to big items like that, I will alert them.
Yeah.
And if they're comfortable moving forward, if it's something's really bad, like I find a structural crack, in a foundation that looks really sketchy, and you're seeing from top to bottom cracks, and I'll mention it to them. Hey, listen, if you're going to move forward with this, at least get an engineer here. This is beyond what I can tell you is going to be okay. But there are times when, and most of the times, like we spoke about before, it tends to be when people put offers on a house without their realtor present. So they go to an open house. The realtor's not there to be the extra set of eyes. So they just see the house. Maybe they see the backyard, but they're not looking at that retaining wall.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the times that I feel a lot of people are trying to bite off more than they can chew.
Yeah.
Buyers got to remember when they buy a house, they're only going there when they first see it. Maybe they go back a second time before they put in their offer. Then their home inspection is the time where they can actually dig in and really spend 2 hours in the house and get a real feel for it. After that, the next time you're really there is for the walkthrough, which is the day of closing. So you're only going to see that house maybe 3, maybe 4 times before you end up closing on it.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe you saw it at night. How many people are going to look at houses after work?
Yeah.
So now you're going into the house at night and you love the inside. You're like already picturing yourself sitting on the couch looking at the TV. And then you go back and we do the home inspection and we find a tremendous defect or something on the site that can blow the deal. There's also the hidden component, which we do, which is the sewer scope.
Yeah.
So, the sewer scope is a really critical part of a home inspection that not a lot of people do. And that's a component that can cost you, again, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I inspected a house not too far from here, actually, before I got into the sewer scope end of things. And the flipper essentially covered the sewer trap. So they bought the house, start running the water, taking showers, everything's backing up.
No way.
Right? And the client calls me, he goes, I know you didn't have the camera at the time, but can I tell you that we have a crack in the middle of the street about 17 feet down, and we're going to need to get police here to direct traffic so they can dig the hole. And we're looking at like $80,000.
Wow.
So you tell me, do you want to roll the dice on that, or do you think it's important to get that done?
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That busts your budget, definitely, even if you're flipping a house.
Yeah.
And a lot of flippers, they just go in and they waive their inspection because they figure they're going to go in there and fix it up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I find people, they hate fixing things that don't necessarily go inside the house that they could see. When they got to fix something underground, that they'll never look at ever again.
Right.
They're they get a little disgruntled about it. Things like septics and sewers and wells and all that stuff.
Well, it's funny. You could almost tell sometimes, like some flippers that are landscapers, you can tell they do a lot more on the outside, whereas somebody that's a carpenter, they're going to go in, fix up the inside a little bit better. Different flippers have different experiences, and you sometimes see that in the finished product.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. So, Josh, what's one home defect or problem, just one that could lead to many others?
The roof is definitely something that is a major component that can lead to tremendous problems, mold, just foundation issues, if water's traveling down, wood rot. I mean, the roof is literally I've seen houses that were foreclosed on and nobody was living there, but it had a brand new roof. And it literally saved the house.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't
That's
do
a really
the
good
roof,
point.
that house would be a complete disaster.
Yeah.
So that, to me, is the most important thing.
Now, as a home inspector, you see everything. What's your most memorable inspection? What's something that really stands out as in I can't believe that just happened, or I just saw that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many stories over the years. I've been doing this a long time, but finding people in the house, that's definitely shocking.
Dead or alive?
Well, you don't really know, but they say that they're alive and they're sleeping. But, they don't give you a heads up that people are there. So that's always memorable. But I did have one in the Bronx that literally...
It was a multifamily?
It was a multifamily, and someone wanted to buy it for an investment. And it was a complete disaster. Literally... fecal matter, and dishes in the sink. The house has been abandoned for 10 years. It looked like, I Am Legend, right?
Wow.
Just grass growing up 10 feet tall. And people just literally, it's like they woke up one day and just walked out.
Wow.
And the house was just a wreck. So that one was memorable. Then I had one that was a giant mansion that was completely abandoned for years as well.
Yeah.
In Nyack. And I was there with another one of my inspectors doing that job, and it was so cold. It was such a gorgeous property right on the water.
Yeah.
Just stunning. But it was so cold in the house. We had to inspect this house for 6 hours.
Oh my
below
gosh.
freezing temperatures. So
It's
that
also
one,
because
I
the
could
ghost
never,
was following you
oh
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can never forget.
Yeah. Oh my
And it was very
gosh.
creepy because like you'll go into different areas and you'll see like writing on the walls.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my
like, so
gosh.
that one was memorable for sure.
I feel you. Oh my god.
There's just so many stories. Though.
Yeah.
What's one tip that you have for buyers when they're coming and they're doing a home inspection? Like some of them, they just sit around, they don't really pay attention. How do you, as an inspector, keep them engaged to the point where they're listening and also learning from you?
Well, how I do my inspections, you know, you have to take control, right? So number one, people need to understand that you're there for their benefit. That's number one. Number two, the more they talk to you when you're doing your job, the more distracted you are, the more chances you might miss something. So how I handle it is I always tell them, listen, I'm going to do each component. I'll do the outside. I'm going to recap you. I'm going to do the basement. I'm going to bring you downstairs. I'm going to show you all the components one by one. And then per floor, I'm going to explain my findings to you. And I'll tell them, listen, you just stay comfortable, look around if you want, and I'm going to come to you when it's time. But if they can not engage with the inspector while we're doing our job, that will be the most beneficial tip I can give to them. Mm-hmm. Let us do our job. Do not distract us. Do not pull us from one area to the next because your Uncle Bob found something.
I was just going to bring that out.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they bring
so
their
many
uncle or
Uncle
they
Bobs
bring
out there.
the junior inspector and they come and it's just, they have the right intention and it ends up being more of a problem than not. Not that you're going to pick something up and a lot of times there are things to point out, especially in the beginning. Is there anything you're concerned about that you want me to check out from your findings already? But there's plenty of time at the end to kind of go over, hey, did you see this or did you not see that?
Sure.
Yeah.
But in the midst of it, let them roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always put Uncle Bob to work.
Yeah,
So
I know.
if you want to do my job, I'll give you some work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but you know, they always feel excited when they find something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got it right here.
Yeah.
It's right there already.
Yeah. I just hate when they steal your flashlight. That's it.
Never give away your
I
flashlight.
know. That's it. It's the number one rule. So, and what would be like one of the biggest misconceptions that buyers have about a home inspection when they show up and you got to be like, you have to kind of set the record straight to them. Just misconceptions.
Misconceptions is we're just looking around. That's the biggest misconception. My wife just had a phone call. My wife, Lisa, who answers the phone and schedules all our jobs, she just got a call and the guy was like, are you kidding me? What do you do for this price? Why do you charge us and what do you do? So she ran through everything and he was at the end, he was like, hey, honey, do you hear? He does this and that. Like we do a lot.
Yeah.
We're not just looking around.
Yeah.
We're crawling around.
Yeah.
We're going in the areas you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Cobwebs, bugs jumping around. We're in there. Love it.
Yeah.
Sign me up. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So the biggest misconception is we are just looking around.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. I want to get into. I know you do. You do mold assessments and whatnot. What's your advice to? We'll talk about sellers now that that have mold or scared about presenting a home with mold. How do you prevent it? And when people come across it, I mean, what's what should they be thinking about as far as like remediation?
They should be thinking SUPRA.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, mold, when it comes to buyers, I'd say buy the house with mold,
Yeah,
right? If you're okay with fixing something up,
Yeah.
I would say a house with mold, you can solve that problem.
Yeah.
It's all about managing humidity, managing
Yeah.
moisture. So mold is not going to grow on areas like masonry. It's not
Yeah.
going to grow. So if you're in a basement or if you for a seller, if you're in a basement and you see discoloration, before you're listing the house,
yeah,
get that taken care of. You
Yeah.
don't want any red flags. People are super sensitive right now to the environmental stuff.
Yeah.
Radon, mold, anything that can harm them environmentally, like they want to solve that. So get ahead of it. Peek up in the attic.
Yeah.
Before you're listing your house, selling your house, take a look. Do you see any
Yeah.
discoloration on the wood? When you,
Yeah.
if you're in Home Depot, take a look at what wood looks like when it's clean.
Yeah.
Does it look like that? All right. If it's dark, stained, you might have a mold condition. Get it solved, which is not a big deal. When it comes to attics, it's ventilation or insulation. All right, or a combination of the two. When it comes to basements, it's a source of moisture. So you might have to solve it from the outside, gutters, make sure your gutters and leaders are working properly, make sure everything is graded properly away from the house, make sure you don't have any cracks in the foundation allowing water in.
Yeah.
You know, the bottom line is pay attention to your house.
Yeah.
Walk around and look around yourself once in a while and see what's going on. You'd be amazed how many people don't.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the elderly, they can't go to their basement anymore. They really can't.
Some people think they're buying a house and it's like set it and forget it, and it's definitely not the case. There's always something to do, something else to fix, something to monitor.
Yeah, because I really feel like, you know, the home inspection, and not that, you know, of the, you know, the hundreds of home inspections we did over the last couple of years, you know, didn't mean anything. But I'm telling you right now, like, you know, home inspections, like, they matter. Whereas like 2 years ago, a year ago, it didn't matter what the home inspection said, and the seller wasn't given any credits.
Yep.
And now they are. And so, you know, water problems and mold, I mean, like, you're just handing money away.
Yes.
By not putting a dehumidifier in your basement, or not fixing, you know, a downspout to one of your gutters, or, you know, not replacing the roof, you know, when you should have, you know, like, oh, I'll let the next seller do that, or the next buyer, you know, take care of that problem. And so now, I mean, let me know if you agree, but, like, you know, do you find that buyer credit is sort of coming back into most of these deals?
It was sneaking in. I think as we turned into the spring market, we're now seeing, again, all these bidding wars are happening. Some people are waiving the inspections again. It's not necessarily the best idea. It depends how much they want that house and what they're willing to risk. But you always should get that inspection.
Yeah.
No, I feel like health and safety, like,
that's
always
the big thing.
Still, it's like, no matter what, I'm waiving inspections, but yet
for
anything
information
health and
only.
safety is something that does come up, and, you know, the agents always come up to us, right? And they're like, hey, this is just for informational only. Okay, but if you find mold, now it's a health issue, right?
Yeah.
So you might be able to get a credit even for that. I find that they do.
We just did an inspection where Dave found an underground cave.
Oh my gosh,
wow.
yeah. This was in Yorktown. And we were just uncovering just some stuff in the yard, and came across this old cesspool. I mean, and here we were. There was like 5 of us, like, standing on, like, this slab that was like this thick, like, and, like, we're looking in it, and I'm like, and it's like completely, it's a cave, and we're like, I think we need to get off this cover. You know, it was big. It was
just like
huge.
a piece of wood covering the opening.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
crazy.
it.
You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Number 3 most important home inspection tools in your bag. I know you got probably a dozen or 2 dozen of them. What are the most important ones that you use?
I mean, literally, you could pretty much do a home inspection with a temperature gun.
Yeah.
Right? And a GFCI tester.
Yeah.
And an iPad and a flashlight.
Yeah.
You have those things, you're a home inspector. So
Yeah.
you need a ladder, of course. But other than that, you know, we do have tools that go outside and beyond the scope of a home inspection, right? Like thermal cameras.
Yeah.
You should have a moisture meter.
Yeah.
But those are the key tools, really. So
Yeah.
It's funny, like
It's
10
really
years
not too
ago, the
many.
inspector would come literally with just a flashlight and a clipboard, and
A screwdriver.
yeah.
I literally had that happen to me once. I did a home inspection and I checked the roof. I'm out there for like an hour.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm inspecting the whole outside of the house. The realtor hired me, right? She said, oh, here's the clients, put it in, no problem. We get there, I hear some whispering on the side. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Next thing I know, another guy shows up. We're about to head in the house. This other guy shows up, and he's got a little bag, like a little plastic bag, and I'm like, who are you? He's like, the inspector. I'm like, I'm the inspector. He's like, no, they hired me last night. I'm like, okay. I'm like, where's your tools? He goes, right here in the bag. He had a pad.
I just bought him from
pencil.
CVS.
He had a screwdriver, a pad, and a pencil.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. So
Did you have a
Like,
license?
Here, hold my thermal imaging camera.
Yeah, I know, right?
yeah,
Act like you're doing something.
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
exactly.
But listen, some people, you know, they're not willing to pay for their own safety and health.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Yeah, you know, Doug and I, we had an encounter where two home inspectors. I think that's how we met.
Three.
Yeah, 3 home inspectors. We show. I think these are all. They were all like Angie's leads. You know.
Well, no, they were
I feel
3
like-
different buyers. My
yeah.
buyer took the deal from somebody else. They had an inspection scheduled. Then
Yeah.
someone else took the deal from us. Meanwhile, the seller's sitting in his house. I see him looking out his window. He won't answer the phone.
Yeah.
We show up. Oh, well, we just accepted another offer. You didn't
Yeah.
think of telling us before we came here and
Wow, that's crazy.
set up an inspection? And did you tell the other people? There were literally 3 home inspectors standing outside unloading their car, looking around like, what's going on?
Wild. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the seller was an agent himself.
Wow.
It's funny,
Talk
man.
about like professional
I don't
courtesy.
think that's,
Yeah.
I don't know about the legalities of that, but that doesn't sound too
Yeah.
kosher to me.
Yeah, without a doubt. You got any advice for any sort of like new realtors coming on? You know, they're meeting home inspectors for the first time. I mean, I've approached new realtors before too, and sometimes they don't really get the whole home inspection thing and what we're doing and what their job is to do during a home inspection, which is really to be quiet. I don't know if you agree about that, but I mean, what's your advice to like a new realtor dealing with a home inspector for the first time? What are their expectations? What should they be like, and what's their job at that point? Besides open up the door.
Yeah. So if a new realtor, I would say, you know, it's kind of like you probably don't have much home inspection knowledge.
Yeah.
So learn, you know, and you're going to learn a lot about that inspector too, because if you ask them what something is and they don't really know, then you know that maybe you want to ask the next home inspector.
Yeah.
But you should learn. And
Yeah.
if you like their style and you like the way they do business and then you like the way they get the reports out in time,
Yeah.
then maybe get their card,
That's it.
you know, and establish a relationship. You know, that's how we grew our business.
Yeah.
But, you know, and, you know, learn and also take advantage of the home inspector,
Yeah.
right? You find something somewhere else you saw, send a picture. Hey, what's going on? What do you think of this? I
Yeah.
don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And that's
All
how
right.
you learn.
Cool. Well, look, we're gonna end here, man. We need the secret sauce from you. What's your advice to a new home inspector out there?
Joint Stone Home Inspections.
Yeah.
What could I say?
I thought you were gonna say, "Stay out of my way."
No, listen, you do the best you can and emulate people that you want to be like. That's the secret sauce
Cool.
to any business, is to follow who's doing it right.
Awesome, man. So, look, how do our viewers get a hold of you for a stone home inspection?
They will call 914-642-5277. Ask for Lisa, my lovely wife. She's so sweet. And thank you so much for having us. For your protection, get a stone home inspection. SUPRA, the man.
Awesome, man. We appreciate your time, dude. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.